Hello folks, so welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm quite excited. I've been itching to do this for a long time. This is a highlights video of my last race. We were of course at Indian Racing Community, or known as IRC, Tier 1 Season 5. I was a Tier 2 driver last year and I finally got promoted to Tier 1. I was P2 in the championship in Tier 2 and I got promoted to Tier 1, and so far I am sitting on the back of a couple of DNFs, or like major incidents, which has left me at the fringes of the top 10. Coming into Canada, I'm not feeling exactly the most confident driver. I have not gotten in the practice as much as I would have liked to, but I'm definitely trying to make the most of it. I'm trying to make sure I can do everything right, keep it clean, and hopefully have a good finish. So going through my first run on the mediums, I come out P4, but I come P5, and I decided to do another lap on the mediums in the same stint. I did carry enough fuel, and however I ended up invalidating that lap, and I do go nearly 1.5 tenths up on this particular lap. Could have been maybe a 2.5 tenths, given that I did make a complete mess of the last chicane. On my third run I decided to opt for the softs, but at this point I'm still a bit confused whether my lap is good enough to be in the top 10 on the mediums. Of course, every inch of track position is quite crucial to us, and also we have to consider the fact that those mediums are a bit worn, so they would not last as long as the mediums on the other people in the below the top 10. So I did it, but however I decided to go back to the pits, believing that my mediums would be able to make the lap, would be able to make the cut and start in the top 10. Now, coming to my final lap on the mediums, the same mediums I set my previous two laps on, so I think they had nearly 7% wear. Coming into T1, trying to brake as late as possible, taking plenty of the curb, but I completely missed the apex in coming into turn 2, and definitely did not maximize traction or the exit. Now, coming into the next corner, trying to brake, trying to take as much of the curb as possible, trying to maintain as straight a line as possible, but not really taking the exit curb. Definitely left a lot on the table there. Still managed to improve by 700s. Now coming into this section, taking plenty of the curb on the inside, but definitely could have gone wider on the exit. Now coming in through the second DRS straight, taking plenty of curb on the inside, but definitely not taking it as wide as I could, being very conservative. Did have to make a correction there. Coming to the hairpin, I do overcook a bit slightly and go a bit deep. I try to get it back on traction, but I don't think I really gained a lot of time there. Coming into this final straight, DRS wide open, 8th gear. Interestingly, plenty of ERS left to deploy in this lap, which is quite a rare sight. And trying to take the chicane, trying to not invalidate it. Could have gone wider towards the wall of champions. And coming over the line, I improved my lap time by 8 tenths, but I'm nearly 5 tenths off the soft runner, so the medium's definitely not looking pretty good at this point. Now, picking my race strategy, I decided to opt for the hards because I felt that with the mediums I would be opting for a medium hard strategy, and I was not sure if that was the ideal strategy at that particular point, especially given that that strategy would not be having the raw pace compared to a soft hard strategy. But we decided to go for the hards, opting to bid for the softs towards the very end, perhaps an early safety car gaining positions. Uh, but however, I would like to notice something, that was the weather today. We are starting with overcast conditions, and going into the race, I think you would see how this particular conditions plays against the hards. So in my formation lap, trying to heat those tires up, I think for the hards you try to aim for something around 85 degrees Celsius. By the end of the lap, I was able to get them quite close. I think I was starting with around 83, 84 degrees Celsius. Now coming onto the line, on the grid, we get a much better start than the cars ahead, who are on the much better tire for the grid. But however, I try to dive down the inside, which compromised me to T1, and I end up losing that position, and I'm now under attack of the cars behind me on the mediums. And even though I knew I had the pace advantage over them, I knew I couldn't compete with the raw grip they were offering. As the Williams started dives on me inside, I gave him the space. I still stay ahead, and but coming into this corner, I can see that he has broken much later than me, and he has the inside. I decide to like get him back on the corner ahead, but he squeezes me out, and I lose a couple of positions there with that particular contact. But I'm quite grateful that I did not get any damage with that particular contact. So I take what I got, but I still felt I had the strategic advantage with the hards. I just had to stay close with them and hopefully make moves towards the end. Now coming into this corner, you can see that one of the Red Bulls did get ahead of me, so I was hoping to get that position back, and coming into this corner, I managed to break much later than them. I managed to get the move done, and at this point, I'm itching. I don't want to be stuck behind them for too long. I did feel like I could potentially go faster if I was not behind, and the dirty was hindering me quite a lot. But it was getting more and more difficult to make a move because the hearts just didn't seem to be kicking in. I just felt like they were lacking a lot of grip. Whether it is because lack of grip or whether I was stuck in dirty air, I'm not sure. But you can see that on the exits, they were just exiting much better. They were able to get on the throttle an inch early than me. But my goal here was like, okay, stick with them. Once their tires fall off or once they pit, I would be able to exert the pace I had with these tires. Now, in lap 3, after the second DRS straight, we can see one of the hards spun out. Interestingly, I did not really make any overtakes after that lap 1 overtake on the Red Bull, and I was either overtaken or whatever positions I gained was due to drivers ahead of me making crucial mistakes. I easily get past him. He had damage, but I was a bit cautious. Given that he had damage, I was a bit cautious that he would not be able to brake in time. So I decided to turn in very, very early for the chicane. I ended up getting a warning for myself, which ultimately came to bite me back at the closing race, the closing stages of the race. And in lap 4, we see that the other Haas has also spun out. So it does seem that a lot of drivers ahead are spinning out left and right. And now looking at the timing screens, you can see that one of the two racing points have actually fallen behind, probably had incidents. And coming into the last chicane, once again, I did not get a good exit out of that chicane because I was distracted by the racing point ahead of me pitting, and this just placed me under attack from the Red Bulls behind. And at this point, the mediums are looking really, really quick as the car ahead of me has pulled ahead, and I am now under attack by the pair of Red Bulls behind. And one of them does manage to get past me, and the one behind me is putting me under increasing attack. And as he tries to dive down the inside, I give him the room. I try to get better traction, but the hearts just seem to be squirming for the grip. I stay ahead at the exit of the hairpin. I try to use, but I'm low on ERS. I don't really have much to defend with, as he easily gets the move done on me. And as when the VSC gets deployed, quite annoyingly, I think without the AC I could have probably making a charge or maybe stuck to him or stuck with them and probably gotten them ahead, but this does allow the drivers to relax, to reset their focus in terms of on-track battles. Now we were waiting for the VSC to end, and the VSC has ended, and we get back to racing, and I'm trying to stick with them as much as I can, trying to catch back up. I did lose a bit of time on the VSC Delta, but I'm definitely itching to get back up. And coming into lap 9, into the last chicane, we can see the Red Bull ahead is right on the gearbox of the runner ahead, but he makes a complete mess of it, and in the span of one exit I managed to get 2 positions, although I would have loved to make it more of a challenging overtake. And I have now closed up on the car ahead, but however I do still feel the hards are not kicking as I would have expected them to, and the mediums still look like a very quick tire. I try to make a move on the chicane, but he defends extremely well, and I'm forced to stick behind. And coming into lap 12, with the safety car is deployed, as I believe one of the Mercedes crashed out. We decided to box, for the softs. My worst nightmare had come true. I thought there shouldn't be a safety car in the pit window of the softs, and that's exactly what happened. And I decided to commit to a 2-stop. Coming over the line, I accidentally overtake the McLaren in the before the safety car control line. But coming into T2 with a much better grip I had with the softs, I easily get the move done. But now it is extremely crucial for me to get past these cars ahead of me who are on the much quicker tires. And we have already mentioned once that it is nearly impossible. It is very difficult to overtake in a DRS train in any track in this game. And before DRS gets activated within the 3 laps, I wanted to get the move done. Now, coming into the hairpin, we try to get the better traction, get him on the exit. He does drift quite wide. This allows me to stay with him, potentially get the move done. I deploy my overtake. However, coming into the straight, I accidentally miss a upshift and I end up shifting from 6 to 8 gear, which kills my momentum completely and I'm forced to stick behind. So right now we are in P5, a really good position right now, but I do have to make another stop and make ground, so it's important for me to make a move. Now coming into at the end of the second DRS straight, I try to dive down the inside. In hindsight, it was not a good idea. I think it would have been nearly a crash. I had to nearly cut the entire apex, but thankfully I did not get a warning. And coming into T2 on lap 19, the Williams and Renault ahead of me have an unfortunate incident, which ends their respective races, and this allows me to move to P3. And with no DRS train ahead of me, I knew this is the time when I had to make it count, and I decided to push quite a lot to catch up to the cars ahead. In the VSC, I did make a mess of my delta, and I did lose, I think, around a second to the car ahead. But still, I tried to make the most of it. And coming into lap 22, you can see the weather has now changed back to overcast conditions, and I go for a move on in the inside of the chicane. Actually, I got the move done on the straight, so not really an overtake on the chicane, but in P2. And at this point, my softs are in good condition, but I decided to pit on at the end of lap 23 to bolt on a new set of softs, knowing that I could take these softs till the end of the race. Now at this point, I come out P9. I managed to get out of the McLaren behind me, and we see the Williams spinning out. In P8 right now, I think nearly everyone, I think no one ahead of me is on softs except for the leader, who was on a similar two-stop to me. He was on a soft, medium, soft, while I have been on a hard, soft strategy till now. And coming into lap 28, you can see both the McLaren Racing Point are fighting quite intensely, and there's a bit of contact from them there. And this allowed me to close right up to their gearboxes. And you can see that I built a much better cornering grip, but I am currently holding back to get the overtake done. And coming to lap 28, the McLaren gets a really bad exit out of that corner, and this allows me to dive down his inside, going into the hairpin. And as we see, the Racing Point completely missed the apex. This allows me to once again use the DRS and get past him on the straight. If you look at the mirrors, you can sneakily see that the McLaren did use my slipstream to sling past the Racing Point as well. Now we're currently in P5. We're on for a podium. We have nearly 4 seconds to the pack ahead, and by lap 31, we do manage to close the gap to the pack of P3 and P4. We built low on ERS. I used all my ERS to catch up to this, but I did feel that even without ERS, everyone else was low on ERS, allowing me to make the overtakes. At the beginning of lap 32, I managed to get the move done on General Pepe of the Alpha car, and I'm currently in P4. And at this point, the Haas boys, who both spun out, I believe in lap 3 and 4 respectively, are currently running 2-3, and I became a bit worried that the Haas ahead would back off and give DRS to his teammate, but before that could happen, I managed to get the move done going into the last chicane. Now with 3 laps to go, currently running P3 on track, I just had to keep it on track and secure my first podium, but I wanted that P2 position quite a lot, and I decided to make the move. But however, I completely lose my exit on that hairpin coming in on lap 33, which means I have to wait one further lap. Now coming into lap 34, I try to make the move down. Probably not a good idea to take the inside, and I turned in too early, and thankfully both of us kept it on track. I think that would have been a racing equation for both of us. However, I think good job from Oxygen in trying to keep it on track, and I think it was completely my fault for turning in way too early. I should have given him more space. Now into the last lap, you can see that Oxygen has let his teammate past, and he has 3 seconds less penalties than me, and I need to make a gap of I need to gain 2 seconds on him in the span of 1 lap, which I knew was impossible, but I tried my best to make the most of these tires. What I tried to use whatever grip was left on these tires to build the gap still within DRS range. I do manage to get out of DRS range by the end of the second DRS straight, but he is still closing, but he still managed to keep up with me. Not much ERS left as well from my side to make a push. Coming into the hairpin, trying to break, taking the apex, trying to get a good exit. As my rears still do have quite a lot of sprung left in them. Now we're nearly 1 second off him, and of course at this point I knew that a P2 was impossible, but for my first podium in IRC, I'm quite happy right now with the particular result. And maybe a couple of things I could have done, I should have started in the mediums, but nevertheless an amazing race from me. I was able to keep it clean behind a lot of drivers, avoid incidents, and try to make the most of incidents with other people. And as a matter of fact, hopefully there's a change in momentum for me in making a charge towards the end of the season. Currently I am sitting P8 in the championship, definitely can score much higher, so looking forward to much better races ahead. So that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now next week I will have the video coming out for the French Cap Grand Prix, which is happening in the Circuit Paul Ricard. Do stay tuned. I hope I make a lot of progress on the championship, and you'll be able to have an entertaining video on your hands. Thank you again, and I hope you have a good week ahead.